In the heart of the solar system, which is arranged with incredible precision, minor changes as small as an inch might indeed seem like a drop in the ocean. But this seemingly delicate issue has occupied the minds of many. The Earth is always rotating in an elliptical orbit around the Sun. But if it gets just an inch closer to the Sun, could the balance of the entire solar system be disrupted? The answer might surprise you. But before I start the video, I want to ask you to like the video, leave a comment, and turn on the channel notifications. According to Newton's universal law of gravitation, and the precise calculations of Newton and Albert Einstein themselves, if the Earth moves an inch closer or farther from the Sun, the gravitational force slightly increases or decreases. However, this increase or decrease is almost negligible compared to the total gravitational force between the two. In other words, the natural and seasonal changes that we witness every day are far greater than a 1-inch change. Now, if we want to visualize this with a real-life example, imagine you're sitting on a hill on a sunny afternoon, staring at the horizon. The sunlight, like a skilled painter, plays with the shadows and vividly portrays nature. Now, if the Earth and the Sun were to move slightly closer, say by an inch, the sunlight would increase slightly. But this increase is like a grain of sugar in a pitcher of water. Therefore, you continue to enjoy the same sunrise in the morning and refreshing and cool breeze, because slight changes in sunlight do not cause significant fluctuations in temperature or weather. Now, what if we want to express this change in the distance between the Earth and the Sun as a percentage? Does a 1% increase or decrease in the Earth's distance from the Sun make a difference? The answer is no. Even if there is a 10% change in distance, nothing significant happens. Only after a 25% change in the distance between the Earth and the Sun does life on our planet gradually start to disappear. But let's continue this percentage game and reach 50%. If the Earth moves 50% closer to the Sun, the planet will ignite, and if it moves 50% farther away, the planet will enter an ice age. But what could be the reason for this issue? What causes living conditions on Earth to become impossible beyond a certain point when moving closer to or farther from the Sun? To understand this, we first need to refer to the distance between the Earth and the Sun, which is approximately 150 million kilometers. Of course, since the Earth's orbit around the Sun is elliptical, this distance can vary between 147 to 152 million kilometers throughout the year. On the other hand, the Earth's rotation on its axis and its orbit around the Sun are arranged in such a way that daily and seasonal changes in temperature and solar radiation occur. So if this distance changes slightly, it is almost negligible compared to these vast figures, because the seasonal changes and natural fluctuations of the Earth are much larger and more complex. For example, changes resulting from Milankovitch cycles, occurring over periods of tens to hundreds of thousands of years, have a much greater impact on the Earth's climate. Let me tell you what Milankovitch cycles are. This is a scientific theory that explains how slight changes in Earth's movement cause long-term climate changes on Earth. For example, the start or end of ice ages. The main idea was also proposed by a Serbian scientist named Milutin Milankovic in the 20th century. This topic is even confirmed by scientific organizations like NASA and MIT in Massachusetts, USA, which state that slight changes do not have a significant impact on temperature levels, wind patterns, or climate cycles. Moreover, such slight changes cannot have a significant effect on solar radiation either. It is true that solar radiation is very important and provides the necessary energy for plant growth, regulates the Earth's temperature, and even supplies vitamin D for living organisms. But small changes in this radiation, such as a change of 1 inch from the Earth's distance to the Sun, only change a very small amount of this energy, and biological and atmospheric systems can easily adapt to it. So, if we want to summarize, a slight change in the distance between the Earth and the Sun. Despite the interesting theories on this subject that suggest it could have a butterfly effect, meaning a minor change could have an extremely large and destructive outcome. In practice, this is not true at all. Indeed, it means it won't cause massive floods due to faster melting of ice, nor will the oceans boil and all the Earth's water evaporate, turning the Earth into a molten ball. None of these things will happen. The reason is that the distance between the Earth and the Sun is always changing. In fact, the Earth revolves around the Sun, and during this orbit, it never stays in a fixed point, because it moves in an elliptical path, and that's why sometimes it gets a little closer, and sometimes a little farther. Therefore, saying that if the Sun gets a little closer to the Earth, it will have catastrophic consequences is really a misconception. We won't burn, we won't enter an ice age, we won't live in eternal darkness, and we don't need to worry about a vitamin D deficiency. Of course, if the distance between the Earth and the Sun changes by a significant amount, then it might have serious effects. By seriously, I don't just imply the Earth burning or an ice age, Jules. This issue would even potentially affect other planets and ultimately change the entire solar system. But to witness such a real change, the Sun would have to move millions and millions of kilometers towards or away from the Earth, and this change would have to happen at a very high speed. That is, for example, if everything changes overnight, certainly everything will change. But if this change happens over, say, perhaps 100 million years, it's possible that we might find a way to adapt ourselves to these conditions. In fact, the Earth is located in a specific area called the habitable zone. This allows water to exist in dull liquid form on the planet's surface, an occurrence that likely leads to life. A slight change in the Earth's distance from the Sun does not take it out of the habitable zone, and only by moving out of this boundary might life on the planet face problems, turning Earth into an uninhabitable planet. Share your opinion. I think that if the Sun were to move just an inch, which is about 2.5 centimeters closer to Earth, nothing would change. But I want to know what you think. Do you think this would have an impact on us or not? If your answer is yes, how and why? Do you think there are still factors we haven't considered? What about theories like the butterfly effect? By the way, you know what the butterfly effect means. The butterfly effect suggests that the flapping of a butterfly's wings in Brazil could potentially cause a tornado in Texas. This concept was first introduced by Edward Norton Lorenz, an American meteorologist and mathematician in the 1960s. He realized that inputting a number with less precision into a weather prediction model caused significant changes in the results. This demonstrated that accurately predicting the behavior of complex systems like the weather is very difficult. Now I would love to read your thoughts in the comments section. Also, thank you for liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and turning on notifications. Thank you for joining us on this scientific journey. I hope you enjoyed this review and gained a new perspective on the order and beauty of the world around you.